You are welcome to LFN What's Your Say? Clearly your number one listening show, where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name, Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. Submission. And we are already wondering what the New York trial judge together with her jury of 12 were doing, allowing all available evidence of foul play by accusers against R. Kelly to pass, and still managed to issue an all-guilty verdict on all 10 counts like they saw no evidence of witness non-authenticity and deceit in court. In the document, Bonjean submitted as a multiplicity of legal gaffes committed right under the watch of the jury and their presiding judge, whose job was to check this. As we have discussed in several of our previous discussions, it's clear that defendants' rights were violated in many ways, and that the government did not provide sufficient evidence to prove guilt for the forced labor charges, RICO and Mann Act violations. The government miserably failed to prove that R. Kelly operated an illegal enterprise, and they also failed to prove intent in their argument that R. Kelly deliberately, intentionally and knowingly transported Jane across stateliness to California with the purpose of exposing her to an STD, which is the criminal act described in the indictment. Even though the latter could be true, there rests nothing to show that this was the purpose of the trip. Likewise, the same government did fail to prove that the two witnesses against whose testimonies R. Kelly was charged with forced labor were in any way forced to take part in whatever activities the government has described as services to R. Kelly. In the first instance concerning Geronda Pace, her claims that defendant harassed her when they had a disagreement, and then later moving to another room got her giving him a service are two separate events that were completely non-related. Even partners do have disagreements and fights once in a while, but later on, they are still able to share moments of intimacy, and this does not necessarily translate into forced labor like the government wants us to believe. In the second instance, which involves Faith Rogers, she and defendant had been involved in the very same act several times and in different places, confirming that she wanted and enjoyed it. Having found a gun lying on the table in defendant's studio this one time does not necessarily mean that she was forced to do anything. Besides, there is nowhere in her testimony where she says R. Kelly tried to use this gun, picked it up, or showed intention to use it in case she refused to do what she did. With no record of any threatening signals, there is no way the government could have proved forced labor. Meanwhile, Faith Rogers did not refer to this incident as the event that marked the end of their romantic relationship, as their romance continued even after this incident. With the RICO charges, Mann Act charges, and forced labor charges flushed into the drain, it leaves almost nothing left of the New York charges, which makes the appeal only a delayed win that should have been declared already. Unless the government wishes to have some of their witness testimonies changed, and the RICO and Mann Act rewritten to give them a new meaning altogether. Sadly, this would require Congress to make a special seating solely planned out for the purpose of fulfilling the needs of whoever sent the district attorney on job to take down R. Kelly. In addition to the appeal arguments attorney Jennifer Bonjean has made is the issue of defendants' rights being abused. As a way to win over defendants' witnesses and convert them into government false accusers, the Bureau of Prisons leaked R. Kelly's prison phone calls and emails and shared them with blogger Tasha K., who at that time was working with the witness families and definitely found value in sharing this information with them. By doing this, the Bureau of Prisons violated R. Kelly's attorney-client privacy rights, and also constitutes witness tampering, as the sharing of this information caused Azriel to find reason to flip towards the government camp and become R. Kelly's worst enemy. Ignoring the new revelations that suggest Azriel used this leaked prison information to plan out a heist on R. Kelly's money at the Trump Towers in the company of her own father, the act of leaking this restricted information to the media alone was sufficient to have the entire case thrown out and charges dropped. If the judges had been fair, R. Kelly was to be acquitted with immediate effect. Why a man whose rights and freedoms have been violated to this extent would be lying in prison serving an indirect life sentence, yet all evidence presented by the government was insufficient and lacking in many ways, is hard to understand. It's a shame on government, a shame on the U.S. Department of Justice, and a shame on the Bureau of Prisons that all this is a result of their malpractices. According to Marlene Parker, Kelly is innocent and should be freed from prison as soon as possible. Those hungry women preyed on R. Kelly for attention, fame and relationship. They stalked him and scavenged on him. Kelly became their piece of meat for each one of them to take a piece. When they realized they were not getting exactly what they wanted from the relationship, they manipulated their story to destroy him and take away his freedom. The flip-flopping with statements alone, and changing goalposts should be a sign that these women were simply lying on him. And like I mentioned earlier, R. Kelly is indeed innocent and should be set free. According to Yolanda Martinez, if anyone needed to be charged for RICO and Mann Act violation, perhaps the Department of Justice should start with the Clary family. From whatever is written in the trial transcript, it's only this family that seemed to have a joint plan they followed to the dot to trap R. Kelly into being with their daughter, pimped her perfectly and strategically to him as an 18-year-old with the intention to later blackmail and extort him, which tantamount to organized crime. Likewise, R. Kelly, who was already convinced Azriel was 18 and had no reason to find any fault in inviting her over to travel with him on a musical tour. Her own parents, who knew her age right from childhood and possessed her birth certificate, instead of stopping her, instead encouraged and enticed her to go be with R. Kelly. Why does it have to be R. Kelly charged for the RICO and Mann Act violations and not the Clarys instead? While there is no record to prove that R. Kelly did operate an illegal enterprise, and on the other hand, the Clary family do form the perfect enterprise that targeted committing crimes of soliciting their own daughter they well knew was underage, blackmailing and extorting the R&B king. According to MZZ New York, it's strange to learn that Alice Clary is such a shameless pimp. This, I guess, is the right description for her pimping her own daughter. How worse can any mother be? She could be worse than any woman that is out there on crack. It is so sad and unbelievable what she did. This is a shame and disgrace for any woman who pushes her daughter onto a man to use her body as a bait to gain material wealth. I would feel real nasty and dirty to push my own beloved daughter to any man to sleep with them, and she is still a child, especially after deceiving the older man that she is of age. I must confess I am lost and confused about this whole nasty situation. What real mother does this? Watching your child's life being destroyed on your account. Using her a bait to blackmail a successful artist. She needs to pay for this, Alice Clary. Thank you for watching today's video, a production of LFN Media, giving you another perspective of issues at hand. We make it our business to keep you updated with the truth amidst the cloud of lies the media wants you to believe. It is therefore important to subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon and allow all notifications so that you don't miss out whenever we publish a new video.